A group of people have come to the Dharma Deepa Centre in Herefordshire to learn about an ancient form of meditation. The technique is called Vipassana, which means seeing things as they really are. Vipassana does not require a particular faith or involve miracles. Through it, people find solutions to their problems within themselves.
One important thing is that the Buddha was a man, he wasn't a god. A real historical person who lived 26 centuries ago in the part of the world we now call northern India. And he was a prince in a royal family with all the luxuries of life. But he was, from the beginning, he was obviously a special person. And he developed an interest to find out a way out of suffering, a path of truth. And he tried fasting himself and different meditation techniques. And finally, by his own efforts, because he was obviously a very special, developed person, he discovered this technique of meditation.
Throughout the course, you will have to observe noble silence, except on the last full day. This means that you should not communicate in any way with your fellow meditators, neither by speech, by gestures, by eye contact, nor by writing. You must cut off all contact with each other. This also includes couples and friends. Your attire should be modest and suitable for meditation. So we ask you not to wear shorts, short skirts, leggings, or any item of clothing that is tight or revealing. Please remain fully clothed at all times and do not sunbathe. Please do not sunbathe.
Everyday life.
I'm retired, retired bank manager. Now, a number of things happened in my life approximately 4 years ago which I couldn't make any sense of. And they all culminated in my leaving my employment and starting a spiritual journey, which ended up in India, in ashram in southern India. My mother-in-law was dying from motor neuron disease. My father-in-law became an alcoholic. My son suffers from schizophrenia and became a drug addict. My daughter was a drug addict and became pregnant and left a baby with myself. Then I was having problems with individuals in work, and all these things were spiraling around at the same time. I was trying to make sense as to where they came from, why they were happening, and where I went from there. I've been on many courses in my life, but they've always been about various things, products, etc., that I've had to learn in conjunction with my job. This is the first course I've ever been on which is about me. And if I understand it to be correct, I understand it correctly, it's going within myself to try and find myself. And that's where I think the nerves come in, because I'm not quite certain what I'm going to find in there.
It was a big truck drove straight into us. We were in a Land Rover Discovery at the time. And so my husband, who was driving, was killed, and my daughter, who was in the passenger seat next to him, was killed. I was in the back and came out with broken pelvis, ribs, ankle, followed by the stroke, so a fair mixture. Well, I had a stroke following a road accident 2.5 years ago. So I woke up to find myself paralysed on the left side and not being able to move very much. First thing was learning to transfer out of bed and into a wheelchair. When I left hospital, I was admitted to an excellent rehabilitation centre at Wimbledon. Well, I suppose getting upset I'm a bit worried about, but then I'm no doubt going to do that anyway, because I'm suffering from a lot of bereavement, which is why I've come for help, to try and clean myself and clear myself inside. But then I guess people will be sympathetic. so I'm not really worried. I bought some handkerchiefs and I'll be all right. Sorry.
It's fine, it's all right. The first time I heard about it was through a friend. And then after that one time, I heard about it from 3 different people in the space of 1 week. So I figured it must be something to follow up. Well, this one friend basically told me it was a silent retreat. You stay in noble silence for 10 days. And this scared me, you know. I thought, oh no, I don't think I want to do that.
Because I wanted to go out and try it for myself. That means going and doing something. And it might not, you might read through, well, I read through the Code of Discipline and thought, that's going to be hard work. You know, I smoke, I drink infrequently. I'm not sort of addicted. Well, I suppose I smoke every day, so I'm addicted there, of course. But, you know, I don't always need a drink every day or anything like that. I thought it was going to be hard. But then, no pain, no gain.
Richard has come here from the USA to serve on the course. He was first introduced to Vipassana in a Seattle jail. His long history of recurrent convictions stopped after he began meditating.
I grew up in well, all of Seattle doesn't have any slums in it or anything like that. It's a very nice looking city. Right. So, you know, it was a very average type American city, you know, and, most of the kids in my neighborhood went to Catholic schools or they went to, you know, just regular old public schools, you know, and well, most of the kids in my neighborhood only had one parent for some reason. I did notice that a lot of kids had a mom and no dad, or they had a grandmom and no mother and father or something like that, you know. And so a lot of kids always came to my house because they said, Richard, you know, you have a mother and father, you know. And so so that's how my neighborhood was, right. Basically, you know. It was just
Did you notice anything about yourself? Why did you pick up on the alcohol?
I actually believe I was born with the genetics for an alcoholic. Because the first time I drank some alcohol, you know, I got drunk. The very first time I drank some, I got drunk, you know, and then after that my mind began to cling on to alcohol. You know, I like to drink alcohol, and everything I associated with in life had to do with drinking and people drinking. And so, you know, I don't know why that happens, but that's kind of the way it happened for me. That, you know, because I was going to church, I was thinking, you know, now God, if he fails me, you know, and actually that's the way I felt. God, you failed me, because I went to your church, and I went to that church 2 times a day, you know, and I got on my knees and I said the Hail Mary, and I said all the everything. In fact, I even signed up for 50 years of the rosary prayers, you know. So I went home at night, even before I go to bed every night, 1 hour, you know, saying the rosary, you know. I love to do that. And then it erupted, you know, it tore me in half, basically, again, you know, right in church. And so a lot of times I didn't have the peace that I needed when I left church. See, if I would have had the peace that I needed when I left church, then I would have been able to be peaceful, but I didn't have it. So consequently, I wound up in jail. And when I wound up in jail, there was this first Vipassana course ever. It hadn't even started yet, you know. If you ask me, it looked like it was for me, you know. And so I was inquiring, when are you guys going to start the meditation course? When are you going to start it? They're like, we're going to start it right now, Richard, you're here, you know. And so I started, that's how I discovered Vipassana. And ever since that first course, it's been Vipassana. Yeah, meditation. Yeah, quite a change. Jail is a disgusting place. And until if you go to jail, you start off where everybody, and then depending on how you get sentenced, you go to another place, and to another place, and to another place. And if you're really gonna do a long stretch of time, you know, they put you somewhere very quiet, and then with a bunch of other quiet people, and then from there you proceed on to prisons, and then maximum security prisons. And so I advanced on out to a place called NERF, which is a miniature prison. It only has like 250 people. But then I started advancing farther than that. Landed in this federal facility. I didn't like it. The guys were getting bigger and they were getting meaner. And but I didn't have any problem with them. This is very strange.
Vipassana was originally introduced to the West by a man called S.N. Goenka. The workshop involves 9 days of total silence, called noble silence, 24 hours a day and complete isolation from the outside world. No books, no music, no TV, no visits, no telephone calls. Having undertaken a moral code of conduct, the participants begin their meditation. For the first 3 days, participants observe their breath as a technique to increase concentration, and from the 4th day, observe their internal sensations to gain self-knowledge. The goal is to reach a stage where they can deal with life's turbulences in a balanced way. Richard, a trained chef, is here mainly to help in the kitchen. Many who have done the course volunteer, like Richard, to come back and serve in future courses. Sharing their experiences with others and giving something back is a valuable part of the process.
Making some avocado dressing for the salads. Been in jail 45 times, yeah. And if something hadn't happened, I would still be going to jail today. You know, that when I look at that, that is the marking stone for me, no matter what, you know. What happened that I don't go to jail anymore? What happened in my cycle of madness, you know? And I can actually see, nobody has to tell me, I can see it. How we solve our problems by looking at ourselves, rather than looking externally for a solution. We look inward for the solution. And Vipassana means insight meditation. Until I took Vipassana, I actually didn't know anything about meditation. I thought meditation was blinking lights, maybe, or meditating about the still, calm water. So this was my first experience of actually being taught what meditation is. I get angry, but not like, and it's not the same angry. I won't lash out on you or at someone or destroy something. Or if I try to, if I do, I immediately feel very bad. Now that used to scare me, you know, because I remember fighting a lot.
We've lived in this room, Jeffrey and myself. There's not much here, as you can see, just the bed and a radiator. We've been up 4 o'clock every morning. There's someone with a dong outside the door. We get up and go to the shower and change, and it's dark outside and it's cold outside. We've meditated for 5 hours every morning, 4 hours every afternoon, 2 hours every evening. You just have to just be an island and live as if you're the only person really on the site. And that has really sharpened my awareness quite considerably, because you're not involved in mundane conversation. When we go into the dining hall, you sit, you get your food, and you just sit down and you eat in silence. Normally, and if you go into a dining room and you've bonded with somebody, you start making conversation, and then you've got to think of something else to say. And to a large extent, the conversation is menial and tedious. So you don't have to think about things like that. You just concentrate on whatever you want to concentrate on.
It was, I can easily say it was a life-changing experience, yeah. It was hard and I went through real highs and lows, but overall I feel it was it definitely has changed me, yeah, for the better. It's taught me so much about myself. Before, I was always looking outside for it, you know, all the answers, constantly searching for something. But it's taught me that really it's all inside, and I'm still learning that, you know, as I go along, that you really can't blame outside people and circumstances for what happens. It's actually 100% inside, you know, it's what's happening in here rather than outside.
I found it very helpful, very interesting, from many different points of view. Not only the meditation, but the silence and learning to live in a small community of different people. They say, the doctor said, it's a long road, you know, and a friend of mine made a very apt remark. She said, they didn't tell you it was going to be bumpy though, did they? So I laughed, because having travelled a lot in Africa on bumpy roads with potholes, I related it to that. But I can be amused now because it's very true. It is a bumpy road. It's not only long, it's got the bumps along the way. But I guess we can say life is a bit like that. I enjoyed the silence. It gives you time to think a lot and get yourself together a bit. But I'm looking forward to going home and practicing it at home and seeing if I can really make it work there. It hasn't changed things, because things don't change, but it's softened them a little bit, perhaps.
It just made it much easier. You know, I could tell my mind, you know, we went down this road again. You know, we went down this road before. You know, I know what you're trying to do. I'm not gonna do it. You know, and but the meditation, that's what the meditation did. You know.
I mean, first of all, you don't actually stop being sad or stop being angry. You just deal with it differently. You just kind of let it run through you and you don't dwell on it. And instead, what comes to the fore more and more is sort of what is called unconditional love. It's really an appreciation of and a love of other beings, of nature, of everything around you. Well, it is for me, first of all, to see the people when they come and go, the difference. So, although I don't meet them individually, I see a lot of happy faces on day 10, and genuinely happy, not sort of crazy happy or whatever. And I feel that for a number of people on the course, things have changed. I cannot say for everybody, but I certainly see results in people. I see results in myself. I've changed.
I started meditating at home once in the morning, once in the evening. My mom started looking at me, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" "I'm meditating," you know. And me and her started having lots of discussions. I was teasing with her. She said, "Richard, it's your birthday." I said, "Yeah, I'm 800 years old today." And she said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Yeah, I took this meditation course, you know, and I think I've been traveling for 800 years. And so she was like, "What are you talking about?" You know, and so, but she didn't know, you know, I was saying, so I thought, well, you know, when in jail, I took a meditation course, and I started, this is how I started talking to her about meditation, you know, so I started talking to her about it, you know, and then she sat a course as well. I asked her, why did she sit that course? She said, well, I always wanted to meditate. She said, I wanted to meditate, and I never got a chance to meditate. And she went, you know, and I served on that course for her. And it was, the first time I served was in jail. I served the first women's course in jail. I went back to serve, and if I get a chance to serve, you know, I'm really going forward. When the girls seen me, some of the girls I knew from the streets, and when they seen me, they were like, "Richard is taking a Vipassana course, and his mother took a Vipassana course. You guys, you know, it must be okay. It must be okay to do." So if my mom went, you know that it got to have something to it, because she works in a Christian church. It was good for the whole jail, the whole thing. It was like, if you went up there now, you know, it's not the same as it was. You could go up there, it's more clean, it's more quiet, and it was already clean and quiet. It's just more clean and quiet. It's good. It just sparked on me, you know, how much my mind used to cling on to things, and my natural mind loves to cling on to anything it sees. It just, and I've kind of gotten it way under control. And I know I'm coming close to the end of my pilgrimage here. You know, it's time for me to go back to the U.S. And so, you know, every time I call home and I speak to somebody at home, you know, "Richard, when are you coming back? You know, everybody's waiting for you to come back. Are you coming back?" "Yeah, I'm coming back."
I really can't explain what has happened to me in the last 10 days. I cannot find the words. I don't think the words exist. So the only thing I can say, well, it was fine. I enjoyed myself. I got a lot out of it. End of story. There's no way that I can convey to someone the way that I feel or the experiences that I have experienced. I understand now that I just go home and I talk to people in the normal way.